Hello, today is Tuesday, May 12th. It's 8:30. I'll go ahead and call today's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order. Our first item on the agenda is an approval of the agenda. We do have an agenda addition. Steve, was Quinn going to come to cover this, or was this?
Madam Chair, Quinn will be here this morning for that item.
Okay. We'll add those after the proclamations.
Second.
We have a motion offered to approve the agenda with the addition. Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Ebinger, sorry. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. The next item on the agenda today is the citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens in the audience wishing to address the county board on any item that is not on the agenda? Any citizens to be heard? Steve, have we had any requests online?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The next item today is approval of the payment of bills and vouchers.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to pay the bills and vouchers.
Motion offered from Commissioner Bear, second from Commissioner Krabenhoft. Further discussion? Further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. In our packets, we had the minutes from April 28th.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 28th, 2026.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Bear to approve the minutes.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item 2 today is a request approval of the amended language for the abatement policy. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Annually, the Department of Revenue meets with county assessors and does an office review. They look at about 20 different categories for compliance. And one item they looked at recently was the abatement policy. It was found that in there, the policy references that homestead application deadlines is not a reason, an approved reason for abatement. However, in the past, prior to 2021, the abatement or the homestead deadline was December 15th, and in the 2021 legislative session, that was changed to December 31st as the application deadline. So this is kind of a technical update needed on the abatement policy to bring it into compliance.
Thank you for the presentation on that and the clarifications. Any questions? Yes, Commissioner.
Madam Chair, one question. In all the changes are what is in red, I assume?
Yeah, yep. It's just two changes of the date from the December 15th to December 31st under the application for homestead or exemption paragraph.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the amended language to the Clay County abatement policy.
A motion offered from Commissioner Campbell to approve the abatement policy language.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bear. Further discussion? I think this is a positive change. Certainly from the legislature, it seems to make sense to align with the dates. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3 today is a proclamation for Family Child Care Appreciation Month. Good morning. Thank you for joining
Madam
us
Chair.
today. Quinn, you'll kick it off?
I sure will. All right, I've got Julie and Gail with me here today from our licensing team. Karen says hi. She was going to come as well, just had a few things to take care of this morning, so couldn't make it.
Okay.
That said, the first reason we're here this morning is I'm requesting a motion to approve May as Family Child Care Appreciation Month. I do have an attached proclamation as well. Family child care providers are trusted partners in supporting children, strengthening working families, and contributing to our local economy by providing safe, nurturing, and high-quality care in our home-based settings in Clay County. This proclamation would recognize the dedication, compassion, and important contributions of family child care providers throughout Clay County and honors the vital role that they play in promoting healthy child development, family stability, and strong communities. I think anybody that's got kids that would acknowledge or recognize how important daycare is for Clay County. So we just wanted to really have a proclamation that shows how much we appreciate what they do and our recruitment efforts as well. So with that, I would yield to any questions that the board would have about family child care.
Yes, any questions? Is Karen getting ready for a party on Friday?
Sure is. Sure is.
Any other questions? Well, certainly, we all know how vital childcare is for folks. A lot of us that have raised kids while working know the challenges that can mean. Sometimes bringing kiddos, I know this board has been patient with me on times where I've had to bring a kiddo along to this board, but really, really appreciate the work that you do in our county. I can't even underscore how important it is, so thank you. We will go ahead and read the proclamation, starting with Commissioner Campbell.
Whereas family child care providers offer safe, nurturing, and developmentally supportive environments for children throughout Clay County, and
Whereas family child care professionals support the healthy growth, learning, and social development of young children during the critical years of life, and
Whereas family child care providers play a vital role in supporting working families by providing dependable and accessible care options with local communities, and
Whereas family child care businesses contribute significantly to the economic stability and well-being of families and employers throughout Clay County, and
Whereas family child care providers demonstrate ongoing dedication, professionalism, and commitment to serving children and families through high-quality care and early learning experiences. And
Now therefore, be it resolved that the Clay County Board of Commissioners recognizes the important contributions of family child care providers and their lasting impact on children, families, and the community as a whole, and hereby proclaims the month of May 2026 as Family Child Care Appreciation Month, and encourages all residents to recognize and thank family child care providers for their dedication and service to children and families in our community.
Madam Chair, I move the proclamation.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Campbell to move the proclamation.
second.
A second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Item 4 is another exciting recognition, the proclamation for Foster Parent Appreciation Month.
Yes, exactly. Wanted to bring these at the same time, just from a timing perspective, but also the interplay between both of these providers is really, really crucial for the community and for the kids that we serve. So with that, I would also request a proclamation designating May as Foster Parent Appreciation Month in Clay County as well. We wouldn't get very far doing the work that we did without our foster parents, or our daycare providers, to be honest, but foster parents in particular. They provide safe, stable, and supportive homes for children and youth experiencing out-of-home placements. Oftentimes, this is the most difficult time in a child's life, and these foster parents provide that stability and support for kiddos that are really having a tough time. This proclamation recognizes our foster parents' commitment, compassion, and partnership demonstrated by them throughout the county and highlights the importance of community support for our foster care services. So I have an attached proclamation for that as well, but would yield for any questions that the board would have.
Madam Chair, one
Yes,
question.
Commissioner Bear.
So with us always looking for more foster families, could you give a little synopsis of how someone would become a foster parent? Who would they have to reach out to?
Absolutely.
Right here.
That is myself. I'm Gail, and I license our children's foster homes, our non-relative homes. We have an application packet I walk people through directly. It's both online, so they can access it online as well on our county website, or calling me directly, and I will sit down with them and meet with them and go through that process step by step with them.
Perfect.
Gail will eliminate as many barriers as we legally and financially can eliminate in order to get licensed
Yeah.
providers, absolutely. And we do, Alex is her counterpart, and Alex licenses all of our family and kinship homes. So if child protection placement occurs, the first people that we're asking is other relatives. And if those relatives decide to be licensed, we have Alex that will help kind of go through the exact same process, but with the relatives and kin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, and follow up, so, in finding people, are there, I think we've talked about this in the past, but a refresher, certain challenges of ages, in finding care?
You know, I think oftentimes it's harder to find homes for our sibling groups, our larger sibling groups, and also our older kids that are going through the system. I think that's always a challenging aspect. We have a lot of great foster parents that are open to that, and they may start with a younger age and then just feel drawn to these older kiddos. So it's really great that they're open to that and willing to do that. So I think that's the challenge, the two challenging groups
Yeah.
that are a little bit harder for.
Good to know. Thank you.
Additional questions? Go ahead and read the proclamation.
Whereas children and youth in foster care need safe, stable, and nurturing homes during times of uncertainty and transition, and
Whereas foster parents provide compassionate care, guidance, support, and advocacy for children and youth placed in their homes, and
Whereas foster parents play an essential role in helping children maintain connection to family, school, culture, and community while supporting permanency and reunification efforts whenever possible. And
Whereas foster families in Clay County open their homes and hearts to children, to children and youth facing difficult circumstances and help create opportunities for healing, growth, and stability. And
Whereas the partnership between foster parents, kinship caregivers, social workers, schools, healthcare providers, and community organizations strengthens outcomes for children and families throughout Clay County. And
Now therefore be it resolved that the Clay County Board of Commissioners recognizes the extraordinary commitment and service of foster parents, as well as the positive impact they make in the lives of children and families every day, and hereby proclaims the month of May 2026 as Foster Parent Appreciation Month, and encourage all residents to recognize and thank foster parents for their dedication, compassion, and service to children and families in our community.
Madam Chair, I move the proclamation.
Motion offered from Commissioner
Second.
Campbell to move the proclamation, a second from Commissioner Bear. Further discussion? Further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please make sure and thank your teams and also the families from us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
When would you like to do the agenda edition?
That would be great.
You
Thank you
almost
so much.
forgot about it, didn't you?
I wasn't sure exactly where you wanted to throw it on the
Well,
agenda.
good.
So I was going to hang around.
Well, we are in the last week of session, so I really appreciate continuing to bring awareness to this piece as we've testified, and it's a priority for AMC as well, but certainly we'll hand it to you to discuss.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Commissioners, I'm here requesting a motion to send the attached advocacy letter to the House leadership regarding SNAP administrative cost shifts and the error rate fiscal penalty. So Senate File 4612 is the Minnesota Senate bill intended to address these major SNAP cost shifts that are expected to impact all counties due to upcoming federal funding and fiscal error rate changes. The bill includes provisions designed to prevent these new costs from being shifted directly onto our county property taxpayers. The Minnesota Senate passed Senate File 4612 on April 29th. The House later amended and passed its own version of the bill, but because the House version differs from the Senate version, the legislation is now proceeding through conference committee negotiations where the House and Senate must agree on a final version before the bill can become law. I am requesting this county board approve me to send this advocacy letter to the House leadership encouraging support for retaining and strengthening these county protection provisions during those negotiations. Just to highlight the importance why, without this legislative action, Clay County is projected to experience a SNAP admin funding loss of $392,137 and a projected SNAP error rate penalty exposure of $1,532,831. About a quarter of that we will see in quarter 4 of 2027 without any action by the state. So those two combined just in 2027 would be approximately $800,000. So combined overall, these two impacts represent nearly $2 million in potential direct cost shifts to local county property taxpayers. And the importance, the reason that I'm kind of concerned in bringing it to board is that doesn't get us any additional services. That doesn't improve what we're doing. It doesn't help the residents on the other side. Those are just cost shifts to counties without any improved service delivery or benefit for our residents. So this letter emphasizes the importance of preserving these county protections with the final negotiated version of Senate File 4612 to reduce the local impact on our taxpayers. With that, I'd yield for any questions that this board would have.
Thank you, Commissioner, or thank you, Quinn. Commissioner.
Yeah, good morning, Quinn. Can you go into a little bit of detail regarding the SNAP error rate penalty exposure?
Yes, absolutely. So the big beautiful bill is assessing a percentage of a fee based on the overall state's error rate. If it's 5% or lower, there wouldn't be any fiscal penalty at all. If it's up to 10%, it changes what the state is owed, and it's up to, if you have an error rate of 15% or higher, it changes what it's owed there too. So the worse your error rate is, the more a state is going to owe the federal government. So right now, Minnesota's error rate is hovering right at that 10% range. So Minnesota would owe money to the federal government for errors in administering the SNAP program. Right now, there is no legislation to equally or to like prorate how the state would divvy out that error rate to counties. So right now, it would just be equal across the board. It would be whatever that percentage of error rate is based on how much your county administers in SNAP aid. So the 1.5 million is based on last year's SNAP expenditures. So Clay County administered about $15 million worth of SNAP to our residents. And as a result of that, that's where the 1.532 million comes from. Because even though our error rate is 1.68%, we, I guess, would chip in because there isn't any legislation that says otherwise.
So if we would have been getting direct federal assistance to Clay County, we wouldn't have any penalty.
You'd have no penalty at all, yeah, based on the
Because it
existing.
goes through the state, and then the state is basically having all 87 counties, regardless of what each county's error rate is, take part of that 10% penalty.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. My
And
concern-
then, so that 1,532,000 portion of it, who misses out on that? Is that the SNAP recipients?
Their benefits would not be impacted. The issue comes, that's a penalty that we've never paid for before, and so the county social services is gonna have to figure out how to budget that money to provide to the state. That's not an expenditure line that we have right now. That would be 1.5 million of brand-new expenditures that has never happened before.
And then the loss of revenue that we would used to get at 392,000. So it's about $2 million that goes to the levy.
Correct, yes. My concern is that's a gigantic number to go onto the levy, and it also loses we lose a chunk of the funding that helps support the staff that administers the program. So if we don't choose to put it all on a levy, we're looking at a reduction in staffing, which could then ultimately result in delays in processing SNAP.
But also, if you don't get, the delay adds into
The errors.
component of an error.
Correct.
And the important part is that we are getting penalized, even though we had a very low error rate, which resulted in $59 worth of benefit being calculated differently. That wasn't $59 of fraud, it was in the calculation.
Correct.
We are getting penalized at a far higher rate than people that had double-digit errors because of the way,
Correct.
in the infinite wisdom of legislators.
My concern with how this exists today is counties that have a very good error rate, a very low error rate, that do a great job administering, are actually subsidizing counties that don't have a good, a better error rate.
Yes. Do you have a follow-up? Commissioner Kavanaugh?
So, give a little background, if you will, where this conversation has been when it went through the Senate. Did it pass with any opposition?
I'm not sure on the opposition. I just know that both protections for the federal admin as well as the fiscal error rate, in the Senate file that was initially passed, both of those protections were passed in there.
Okay.
Both of them. The governor's budget has protections for counties for the error rate, but not for the admin loss. And I'm not sure what the House amended. I have.
And on the admin piece, that was part before that was covered by the state, is that correct? The admin part?
So how it works is this is where, when I say FFP, Federal Financial Participation, specifically for the SNAP program,
Yep.
that's the 50% revenue that comes in from the federal government. So for easy math, if an eligibility worker that administers SNAP, if our expenditures are 100,000, we would get 50,000 in FFP from the federal government.
Correct.
As this stands today, if this passes without any protections, we would only receive 25,000 from the federal government in FFP for the SNAP program, not for MA.
Gotcha. Okay. And any background or knowledge of where the House was at on their part as it went into conference committee? And last question, that conference committee, is that already started or is that yet later this week?
I don't know.
I can answer. So the Senate piece was the Wickland bill.
Yep.
And so that went along party lines 34-32. And the Senate, the House rendering passed 69-63, and then conference committee started on the 11th. So obviously this all has to, if it's going to pass, get done by Sunday at midnight.
Well,
Sorry, really quick. I really appreciate this. This is imperative that we continue to talk about that story. The only piece that's not in here that I would want to have in there is what Clay County's error rate percentage is. I think it's important. I'm I think it's actually less than 2%. It's like
1.68%
yeah,
or less.
1.6. I think it's important that we put that in there. And I would also like this letter to go to the members of the conference committee. Commissioner Campbell?
So between these two, these are revenue losses, they're cost shifts to Clay County.
Correct.
I also heard that there would be reduction in SNAP benefits to people. That's not even part of this?
I'm not aware of.
Not aware of any? Okay.
The concern would more be on the admin side of when people come in and they need to meet with their eligibility worker, report those income changes, stay true to what the program designs. If we have less people to do it, it's going to be longer wait times, which will then incur more errors.
Right, the error rate's gonna go up, not down.
Which then incurs more of a cost shift, which exacerbates the problem.
Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Friday, we had a NACo meeting with AMC. Matt Hilgard spoke specifically on this issue. The AMC has been putting a significant amount of effort into bringing forward this. We were able to share information from the counties on the impacts that this is going to have on levies across the state of Minnesota. And so I just want the board to know that AMC is actively working this here to the end of the session.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, what's the state doing to reduce their 10% error rate?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know that I can answer that. I'm assuming they would say their efforts in system modernization would help, but that's been a huge lift by all of you, and I know AMC as well. We have pretty complicated policies in these program areas, and it's kind of been my opinion, as I've learned over the years, that we need to really shore up some of these policies and make them easier and streamline them.
I appreciate him asking that question because countless times we've told the legislature, the number one way to reduce these error rates has to do with the modernization piece. And then to continue to hear them say, well, we'll see if we have the money, it costs a lot of money. Well, so does this. This is a $2 million unfunded mandate for Clay County.
Just for Clay County.
$2 million. And we're gonna have a discussion a little bit later about what our budget looks like. And what will happen is that we will need to make hard decisions on the programs and services that our county residents have directly told us, which are very important to us, how we triage what that need is. Not saying that there's not a huge need in the SNAP area, but this is not a $2 million unfunded mandate that will go to benefit families that are facing hunger. Again, as soon as we can get this sent today, I certainly support it. Board wishes?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve to send the letter to advocacy, the letter regarding SNAP administrative cost shifts and penalty impacts to state legislators.
Madam Chair, I'll second it with the stipulation that we include the two items you identified to Quinn that need to be added to this letter before it's sent.
Yep.
Commissioner Bear makes the motion with the additions, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Further discussion?
I just want to give kudos to Quinn and his staff for the error rate that Clay County does have. Under 2% is tremendous, and if the state's averaging 10, I mean, we're bringing down that average. So some counties are way over that.
Commissioner Ebinger.
I want to echo that. We have a textbook example of what good administration and good staff can do. And instead of shifting burdens onto us, they need to maybe take a few lessons from people like Quinn that understand the system, see the flaws, and they need to be heard, and leads the way in addressing the needs of our community without some of the fraud and the incompetence we've seen. We have not seen it here in Clay County, and I don't think anybody on this commission wants to take credit for that. We know where the credit is. It's a well-administered, well-led team, and you've got that, and we're grateful for it.
Thank you. We have great staff in financial. I mean, as you heard in the department updates, we carry pretty high caseloads. And so my concern with that has always been our error rate, handling those high caseloads. But I've been impressed, at least in the last 2 years, year after year, at how low that error rate is, knowing that we run higher on caseloads. So our staff are pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, did we vote?
Not yet.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. This is one of those things that I think voting twice would not hurt, so. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Quinn. Okay, item 5 today is a request for out-of-state travel for the 2026 NACo conference.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, Commissioner Mojo is requesting to attend the NACo conference in the Orleans Parish in New Orleans, Louisiana, from July 16th through the 21st. The funding for that would come from our general revenue training budget. The cost right now, without your board approval, Commissioner Mojo has been unable to secure some of the exact costs, but believes that the total cost would be up to $3,000. With that, I'd yield for any questions.
Thank you. I requested this be put on the board. One, given the fact that we just talked about an item that came from Washington DC that's filtering down to us in an amount of up to $2 million, feel like it's really important that this board continue to advocate at the in DC as well. The other reason that I brought this forward is, as you know, AMC has covered some of my trips to St. Paul to continue to advocate on our behalf. And those trips have already secured almost $2,000 in savings for Clay County, knowing that another trip to St. Paul this week will continue to add an additional $500 to Clay County, and felt like it was within reason. Certainly willing to field any questions on this piece, if anyone has anything. Commissioner Ebinger.
Yeah, it's a shame this is New Orleans, because some people may think that she's going to have some fun there, but I've watched Commissioner Mojo over the last couple of sessions, and I haven't seen any recreational activities. When we go up to our AMC conferences, We usually go out someplace and have dinner, and Commissioner Mojo was with the other executive board people working into the evening. And I want to express, as a taxpayer, my appreciation for the value we get out of what she and Commissioner Krabanoff have done. Going and dealing with St. Paul is not a recreational activity, and it brings money, and it keeps money in Clay County and brings money back. So I appreciate the efforts.
Commissioner Krabanoff?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. Commissioner Mojo is, in my opinion, a high-level advocate for not only the state, but Clay County, when we're at that state level. The other thing, I agree with everything that Dave said, but I'd also add that being as top leadership within AMC, that's a bigger voice yet. And having walked the halls with you and speaking with legislators in Minnesota, I know your ability to convey messages in a way that is receptive to people. I certainly hope that when you have this message and you're in DC, what's the dates again? July. You know, you're able to talk to our two senators, and I'll put a lot of pressure on Senator Klobuchar in particular, and so that she understands what's going on, especially things we just heard about with SNAP, which is horrible. So, I mean, I strongly support this.
Next year, if reelected to this board in November as being part of the leadership team, AMC would cover 100% of the first vice president to go. We've talked a lot about the ability to maybe have someone, I talked to Grant Wayland a long time ago and what the value was to have someone do that. And so if this is something that we feel is a benefit, and then having me go with AMC's payment next year would potentially open it up for someone else to go as well if it's a budget item we see benefit in. Yes, Commissioner Campbell?
It's always been this board's position that to allow one board member from our county to attend the National NACo conference, so this is right in line with that, so.
Questions? Yes, Commissioner Ebinger.
Sorry, my mic's off. I want to move the motion that we approve funding for you to attend the NACo conference.
I'll second.
Thank you. I think for clarification, we need to have the up to amount and then the dates.
And the out-of-state portion.
Okay. Already put this, here we are. Up to $3,000, which is currently estimated for the conference, which will be in New Orleans, Louisiana, July 16th through the 21st.
Thank you. We have a motion offered to approve.
Yeah, second.
And a second from Commissioner Krabanoff. Any further discussion? Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you, all of you. I appreciate it. Item 6 today is the Clay County Budget Update Presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we, next two items are budget related. As we move towards 2026, we always like to come before the board and provide a recap, one of 2025, and then also a snapshot of looking at our expenses, mostly focused on for 2026. And so within your packet, you have several documents. The first document that we're going to address is taking a look at the revenues and expenditures by departments. Again, the focus that we have generally looked at during this process is those items that are 110% out of alignment or higher, or if there's something that's significantly lower, we'll also address that. Ms. Johnson is here today, and so if there's different questions that you have that we do not necessarily have highlighted, or highlighted through this presentation, we do have the ability to look up some of those additional questions that you may have. And so what I would like to do is first focus on the expense side of the general revenue document. The first item that would focus on is court administration. We saw an expense of 114% out of the 100% that was anticipated. What we're starting to see too is this addresses two of our contracts for contracted legal fees. And within that, we also have a dollar amount to deal with additional costs that the attorneys may need for testifying purposes, different testing for their clients. And so with the complexity of cases that we continue to hear and see, we saw an increase demand for services there. In the next item I would address is the county administrator budget. As you can see, that's 141%. If you recall, this board approved after the levy was set to make the county administrator position from a half-time position to a full-time, and so that is where that adjustment is at. The next item that I'd focus on is the internal accounting. That is at 111% of expenses. Again, some of that is the timing of paying bills. But in speaking with Lori, there's also some additional costs that we do have to look at that we'll have to make minor adjustments for the 2027 budget. The next item that I want to focus on about halfway down there, down the column, is the ground and buildings. It's at 116%. Again, the transactions, this includes transactions for detox. Those have not been included yet, either in the revenues or the expenses in this case, and so that Troy will be covering those costs. I'll bring that percentage down. The next item after that is planning and zoning. The big push there is riparian aid. That's at 113%. If you recall, this past year, this board looked at the riparian aid and made allocations to specific areas, and some of those dollars were not just expended from this year, but expended from previous years from that balance. And so we saw an increase there. The next item is the narcotics task force. The only amount there, it's all staffing related, so it would be salary and overtime that is included in that line item. Medical examiner, of course, that line item is out of our control. Again, we utilize the medical examiner down in the Twin Cities, and so that is just subject to basically to need. The next item after that would be the juvenile detention. That was at 115%. Just to kind of give some clarification, this, as this board knows, the juvenile center, the secure unit has pays for bed purchasing on a 2-year look back, and so that is included in this figure. That would get us to the 110%. This year, for the first time in several years, when a youth is in need of placement at Red Wing, the Red Wing facility, Clay County is still responsible to make the payment for that facility. It comes through Quinn's budget, but it shows up in this line item. We really, in looking back, we haven't had a significant amount of expenditures in this item since probably 2017, but we have had a couple youth that have been in that facility, and it averages between $9,000 and $10,000 a month to house them in that facility. And so, again, this isn't something that historically we've budgeted for because it's not something that happens on a routine basis, but something that we can certainly look at from the board's wishes standpoint. Next item is emergency management. Again, that would 138% in expenses. Both the expense and the revenue here is wrapping up the ARPA expenditures. Should be the last time we see some of those dollars in our expenses and revenues, but that is the adjustment there. And so that concludes on the general revenues expense side. Are there any questions of any of the other areas that we did not address that the board would have any questions on?
Questions from the board on any pieces?
One question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Bear.
Dispatch is at 109%? Is that contract related with,
That's just the amount that we pay the city of Fargo, or pay for our portion of the dispatch.
dispatch?
And the revenues are also up
Yep.
3% more. Additional questions as we work through this?
If not, Madam Chair, I will switch to the next page, the expense column. There's many fewer items here on this list, but want to touch base first on road and bridge. The expenses in highway administration is at 105%. Generally, again, we don't generally try to touch in that 110% or higher, but just want to touch base. Again, this one has to do with the gravel tax, small town allotments. As this board is aware, each year the small town allotments go to the cities. They don't always spend those funds, and so a lot of times they save them up and utilize them at a higher rate, and so that's where you saw the increase this year. County buildings. Again, this is where these next two items are Fund 13 and Fund 19. Again, the board sets aside roughly $50,000, again, up for Joe to look at different county projects. Again, some years that all that money isn't spent and becomes available to utilize. Other years, this past year, we did projects in the jury box. We had probation updates. We made changes to the fourth floor of the Family Service Center, the attorney's office, just to name a few, and that's where we saw a significant increase of 330%. Again, the funding for those projects were there. It's just that the funding for the projects were saved from previous budgets. The next item is county buildings major. That'd be Fund 19, and again, this portion is the joint highway facility roof project that this board approved this past year. And so that's where that showed up at 159%. We move down to solid waste. Solid waste, there's a few different drivers here at 187%. Again, you see the revenues are also, there's an increase there that we'll talk about in a little bit, but the main issues that we had here is a depreciation was about $1.2 million. This board approved an additional new staff to work in the scale house, and then with some other position salary adjustments, that was about $300,000. There were additional fees for consultants and other professional services of $139,000. And if you recall, we had two semis that ended up needing transmissions, and that was over $100,000. And so, when you look at the budget as an overall, while we did see increases there, the expenses were lower in the other areas, and so we still came in under budget at 98%. But did want to highlight that
Commissioner
area.
Campbell.
What's this depreciation business on here? What's that about?
That's where the depreciation was recognized for the landfill.
But when we do these things, aren't we dealing with actual expenses where you pay and receive?
Correct, but you also have to recognize the depreciation, and it looks to me here, it looks like that depreciation probably, it should have been put into 399 and it was put in 392. So, but it was still about $100,000 more than we had budgeted.
So in terms of when they budget, they put in a budget for,
Yeah, we put in a budget of 1.1 million in the solid waste facility.
and that's basically a paper entry.
Correct.
But when we go to establish how we're gonna determine our tipping fee revenues and those types of things, we don't take that into account in terms of what we need to generate.
We do not.
Okay, I think that's important to recognize that difference.
Additional questions? Anything? Steve, do you want to move on?
All right, Madam Chair, I'll continue back. If you go to the first page, back to the general revenues, I'll highlight, call out a few different areas in the general revenue area. The auditor's office was collected 117% of the anticipated budget. The driver there was additional mortgage registrations and deed tax increases. The motor vehicle department had an increase, it was budgeted at 142%, 42% increase. The main drivers there were $113,000 in driver's licenses, mostly focused on Real ID, people coming in out of the year as to what we were anticipating coming in. And then we also saw $90,000 in tabbed increases. And I think that's, I think that from this board's perspective, they put a great deal of time and effort into making sure that the DMV is a place to do business and you can go in there quickly and get the work done. And I think that, tabs is a pretty simple thing that in years past we heard people be very frustrated with. And so I think this is just one of the signs, along with the decreased wait times. But I think, the increase in tabs show that our customers are being able to be serviced and serviced quickly. And so that was really good to see. Treasurer. The next area is an increase, is 319%. Again, if you recall back in 2022, we saw quite a decrease in the market value of our investments. Over the last several budget cycles, we've seen those investments kind of claw back. And so we saw quite an increase there. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the fund balance document. But that was really the driver there. The next area is victim witness. That had 163% of the budget. And again, that was from a new grant funding resource that they received. The next area, again, is the grounds and buildings. We touched base on the expense. Again, this has to do again with the election of the detox or addition of the detox facility. The riparian aid, a very similar situation. Again, that riparian aid that we spoke about, and there was an error that Lori identified as we went through this process that also would impact that percentage. The next area is corrections. That's 288%. We've seen an increase. We saw an increase in the number of people that were booked into the facility from other non-Clay County facilities. We also saw a significant increase in the commissary account, and that was a driver for that 288%. Emergency management, again, came in at 1,078%, and again, that was all ARPA related. This is where the emergency manager grant comes in. Generally, that's at $37,992, and the remainder was ARPA. And so with that, on the general revenue document, are there any questions on any of the revenues that we spoke about or didn't speak about?
Questions? I just have a question on the Metro Council. Have we not paid the 2026 bill? My understanding is those bills went out in January.
I show here that we did.
Okay. On the 26 year to date, it's,
If it's not on there, we haven't paid it yet.
yeah, says that it's not.
If there's no other
Actually,
questions,
no, it does. I'm sorry. I was looking at a different variance.
Yeah.
They requested a higher amount, apparently.
They did, but
Okay.
it's based on formula, so we
Got
can't
it.
do that.
Yep, that's where, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Additional questions? Keep moving.
if not, jump to that second page again. Again, highlight the road and bridge. Do want to highlight within highway construction, from a revenue standpoint, it shows that we are at 49% of that 100% what was budgeted. Just want to reassure the board that at this point, the project hasn't been closed out, and so we haven't received our federal dollars for that project yet. And that essentially is the difference of the 49% to 100%. Highway administration also is higher than expected, and as Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Mojo have talked about, from year to year, we don't know what our allotment is going to be. Our construction allotment from the state of Minnesota, we've been fortunate over the last couple of years that we have a higher number than the preceding year, and so subsequently that encapsulated 116% of what we anticipated. If we go down to solid waste recycling, again, our revenues within that department were higher than we had anticipated. In the past several years, recycling has come with challenges and costs, but we were able to see some higher than anticipated revenues last year. And then the existed landfill, we saw an increase of revenues of roughly 114%. And again, that came with a higher anticipated level of garbage collection. And with that, I would yield for any additional questions on this page of 2025.
Commissioner Campbell.
Lori, is, for when Corey is doing his budget on that recycling, can you break out for him how much is score funding versus how much is generated from other recycling revenues?
Yes, and the addition for last year was actually some metal recycling, and so that's where we saw the big increase.
And that was outside of the score funding?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions?
I think, as you can see, and again, we'll be moving to the next document is our fund balance document. But as you can see from a summary of revenues, in most cases that overall from the budget perspective in general reserve, our revenues were 10% higher than what we had anticipated, and our budget items overall were right where we kind of anticipated, again with some adjustments from different departments. So the next document that, if there are no additional questions there, the next document that I would like to touch on would be your fund balance. Again, your fund balance gives you a snapshot at the end of each year from December 31st to 24 to 25. When we look at our general fund account, you can see that we had an adjustment from $18,121,635 to $20,713,929, which was an increase of $2,592,294. As we discussed earlier with the treasurers, a significant portion of that was a market value adjustment of $1.278 million. And as this board may recall, one of the things that as we get into budgets and revenues over expenditures at the end of the year, this board has chosen for the 2026 budget to use $1.5 million of this $20,713.92 towards the 2026 budget.
Commissioner Kravinoff.
Can you just briefly, what do you mean by market adjustment?
A number of years ago, we lost approximately $3.5 million due to the value of our investments. So like our face value was, say, at 100%, but the value of them were 95%. So we have to actually make an adjustment for that. And like Steve said earlier, we've started to claw that back a little bit. So in 2025, we got back 1.278 million of that. And last year we did the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
So is that like money in like a 4M fund or something, or what?
It's some FDIC backed and some step up things that we've got mostly with Wells Fargo. But it's just, it wouldn't be a loss until you sell it.
Right.
And which we don't ever do, so it's just a pay.
It'd be no different than myself looking at my 401K and seeing 1 year it's down, another year it's up.
Correct, yep.
Same type of thing. I hate it when it's down.
Same. Any other questions?
If there's no other questions on the general fund balance, I'll move to road and bridge. Again, as we talked about, we saw a adjustment from 24 to 25, $7,391,978, down to $4,521,809, a difference of $2,870,165. And again, as we shared in the previous document, that is waiting for a federal reimbursement, and basically that covers that difference. Any questions with road and bridge? Social service, again, we saw a decrease in social service this year. We had in 2024, we had a fund balance of $11,772,123. At the end of last year, we had $10,165. $10,165,781. The driver there, as Quinn has talked to this board about, was out-of-home placements. We had an increase unplanned of about 1.1 million. Of that 1.1 million, about 800,000 can be attributed to youth that are in need of mental health services or a PRTF level of care. And we also saw last year some federal administrative aid dollars that decreased roughly about 300,000, and so that was the just about the entire increase or decrease of fund balance there. Any questions?
Additional questions? I think it helps folks understand why we've been so adamant about finding additional care opportunities.
The next item is building. Again, this pertains to Joe's area. We went from $134,045 down to $19,393, and again, has to do with the number of projects that Joe completed over the last year. Internal service, again, this board takes a position rather than waiting and purchasing a $1.2 million BOMAG in 1 year. You save on an annual basis, budget basis, over the life of that piece of machinery and other examples like that. And so we saw a fund balance increase of from $12,516,570 to $13,586,705. Again, there were no real significant purchases. As highway tracking has maybe mentioned in previous years, there's going to be a request coming later this year that will certainly impact that. But the increase is really based on the fact that there are no significant purchases there. The next item, if there's no question, is public health. We saw a increase of $192,672 in this account. We started fund balance of $18,711,753. We ended last year at $18,904,425 for the increase that I mentioned. Again, the real driver of that was the withdrawal management detox facility. The starting in 2026, that budget will be broken out by itself, but from this purposes here, it was still captured within the public health realm.
Questions?
All right, if no other questions, we'll move to solid waste. Again, in the solid waste department, 2024 into 24, we had a fund balance of $23,561,221. We saw a decrease from 24 to 25 of $22,946,879, or roughly $614,342. Any questions?
Questions?
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Bear.
If we could go back to public health,
Sure.
what does it look like once we take detox out of that equation? Roughly?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Lori is identified in previous years, last year she identified that, of that fund balance, in 2024, at the end of 2024, less detox was about $3,973,522. And so that will look a little bit different.
Yeah, that fund balance, so you can see just from when we reported earlier, there's about $15 million worth of building that will come out of that fund balance, because that's included in the fund balance.
That's-
That will move over to the detoxes.
The building is included in the fund balance of.
It is,
public-
yes. Yep.
Under public health, okay.
Yeah, just to clarify though, so when we're talking about the general fund balance, we're talking about dollars that are in an account, right?
Mostly, yeah. We
We
don't
don't-
account for fixed assets in the general fund.
There's no fixed assets.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Road and Bridge has some fixed assets,
It does not.
but that one is either a delay in payment or
Project in,
Revenue.
project out, yeah.
social services, there's no
No fixed assets.
fixed access. Building,
No.
how
It's
come we,
just-
how come we don't put the value of the Family Service Center in under bill? How come we don't?
The Family Service Center does include assets. It's an enterprise fund, so we've got public health, landfill.
Okay,
Family
okay.
Service Center and internal services.
Okay.
Those all do have the assets shown in their fund balance.
And then the internal service fund, of course, there's no
No, it does show assets there.
show assets.
But it also shows the accumulated depreciation, so it nets out
Okay, so it's the net value.
as well. The others do as well, but they're new buildings. For the detox, it's a brand-new building, so there wouldn't be much.
Why wouldn't the detox be in internal services then, that building?
Internal service it's a fund that services the rest of the funds by accumulating money for the fixed assets. Detox is its own fund, it's a revenue generator, so it functions on its own as a business type.
Okay.
Is that like an enterprise fund then?
That's what an enterprise fund is, it's a business type fund.
Okay.
Additional questions?
And then the solid waste, now there's some fixed assets in there, right?
Yes, yeah, the landfill and the solid waste building,
Yeah.
or the resource recovery building.
So if we were to look at a cash fund balance, we can't look at this document.
Not this one. You could look at, if you subtract the bottom half of that printout, if you remove all of those, the top fund balances, that's more so what we have. It's not liquid cash.
Right.
We don't have access to it, but yeah,
Yeah.
Could you get us a document that shows that?
sure, yes, I can, yeah.
Thank you.
And it's something that I've always thought interesting, so we always see these things based on year-end numbers. Sometimes when to me, it'd be interesting to see what these numbers would look like at, for example, the end of April and the end of September. Because, that's when we're getting towards our low point. It'd just be interesting to see where we end up being. And this goes to the argument about the state has, in terms of 50% of, that's what that would be interesting to see how that lines up.
Right, well, just talking cash-wise, I just looked at it the other day. Our, liquid cash ranges anywhere from 7 million, which would be in March, to 50 million.
Right.
Which would be, in this
June.
week, this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that 50 million disappears quickly, because I have to send that out to the school districts and settle that fairly quickly. So it does range with those numbers in our liquid cash.
Questions? Good discussion? Additional questions?
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Just the two columns we've touched on a little bit already, but Family Service Center, from 2024 to 25, we saw a decrease from $101,666,083 to $1,539,127. Again, a decrease of $126,956. And then the juvenile facility had a decrease from $6,297,890 to $6,005,700. $617, or a revenues under expenditures of $297,273. The good news is there is James budgeted for a $1 million loss. And so, again, that facility is operating in the positive, providing that operating loss of $1 million offers members a decrease on their bed rate. And so certainly see a benefit. The driver continues to be from non-member usage, and that's where that $1 million was offset to $292,273.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, so Lori, on the Family Service Center, that 1 million, that includes fixed assets, right? In the fund balance, yes. Yeah, and obviously that's a depreciated fund, balance. I would hope that our value in that 5-story Family Service Center building would be more than $1.5 million.
Most of it would be fully depreciated.
Right. Okay. So from an actual market value type of deal.
Say zero. I mean, we're not recognizing any market value in that building, I don't believe, so, not much. I mean,
And you're
in
not,
the
you're
fund
not
balance,
supposed to in this,
in the fund balance.
but if you were gonna do a net worth type of deal, that'd be a different thing, wouldn't it?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Additional questions? Questions? Lots to process. Any other questions for Steve or Lori? Want to continue?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item that we're going to look at is really focused on the 2026 year-to-date. Our real goal is to focus on the expenditures. Realistically, at this time, our revenues fall behind or come with the tax piece, and so are not captured in here. This is through 33% of the year. If you look at both of these first two pages, there's from an expense standpoint, everything is within the area, or includes part of that includes a one-time payment. You'll see back in Road and Bridge, there's some insurance and liability payments that had to go in at 100%. That put us at the 43% range rather than 33%. But if you look at the rest of the items, the other items that are in the higher range are positions that we pay one time a month or a portion of the year, a significant portion of the year. Otherwise, from a department standpoint, our expenses are within the range that they should be.
Questions?
One question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Bear?
Debt retirement county projects, what is that county project?
We issued some bonds for a number of projects throughout the county. Joe put together a list.
Yeah.
And so it's to cover most of those.
Most of those, right. That was in 20,
I think we have 3 years.
3 years left on it, yeah.
I think so.
Commissioner Krabanoff? Your microphone.
When you look at that budget, just to make sure that's through the end of April.
Yes, through the end of it.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Campbell?
On social services, when we see those numbers, is there more likely to be more of a delay in both payment of expenditures and receipts of revenues? Mostly in the receipts. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's at least an extra month of delay for the revenues.
For the revenues, okay.
Additional questions? Questions? Moving on.
Right, the final document that I have for this board to look at is the updated information on the half-cent sales tax collection. As you recall, several years ago, because of the increased collections that we've seen over the year, we were able to remove remove levy dollars from the repayment of our bonds for the Correctional Facility and Law Enforcement Center. We ended up, as of last year, with collections of $4,698,688.66, which was a 3% increase over the previous year. We've kind of plateaued from over the last 2 years after seeing 4 or 5 years of increased sales tax collection. If you take a look at our first 3 collections of this year, we have collected $1,130,367.03. In each of those years, we were at or above what we had collected previous years. If we continue at our projections of even allotting the same dollar amount from the previous year, we would be looking at collecting roughly $1 million more in 2026 than we did in 2025. Again, we try to provide these updates to this board 2 to 3 times a year, and/or if there's anything that pops up from a collection standpoint that would, for some reason, be of concern. But with that, I'd yield for any questions.
Questions? Well, I think this is a really helpful look back, having served through some different disruptions in our economy, I guess is the best way to say that. It's interesting to see how these numbers have been coming in and where the trends are. I still maintain that it has been a really critical financing component to that project. I really appreciate the community's support there. I will tell you that, I'm very aware that we have inflation pieces and that kind of accelerates how collections come in. Cautiously observing, the business climate in Minnesota is challenging, and we're seeing some unfortunate moves and shakes around that piece. And as this board has a discussion later on today about economic development, I think it's a really helpful tool that we continue to be aware of. Questions? Additional questions? Well, I really appreciate the presentation and the data today. This gives us a lot to comb through as we talk about your next item, if there are no other questions. Should we go to item number 7 then?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Each May, we come before this board and give target dates for the adoption and preparation of the 2027 budget. If you take a look at our list here, preliminary budget discussions taking place, obviously, today. We are going to be providing, or Lori will be providing the budget sheets to our department heads on May 27th, and we are going to provide them about 3 weeks to prepare their budgets for collection to Lori's office. She generally takes till right around the 4th of July to get them all compiled, and then we begin to go through each of those budget packets with the department heads on a line-by-line review, and then they come before this board for initial presentation. Again, we've already had conversations with our department heads this year, understanding the challenges that we certainly are facing, again, both from the state and the federal legislative changes, again, encouraging, as we do every year, but specifically the last couple of years, to limit any kind of new requests to absolute necessities. And so that message has been shared, will continue to be shared. We're looking this year to set our preliminary levy on the 22nd. September is one of the months that does have 5 Tuesdays. We're not scheduled to meet on the 30th, but in the event that there is any concerns on the 22nd, we would technically have one additional week to make adjustments if the board wished to schedule a meeting on the 30th. We're looking to have our Truth and Taxation board meeting actually at 5 p.m., and then Truth and Taxation will follow that at 6 p.m. And with a final adoption of December 22nd. I think there was some discussion about the potential of doing that a week earlier. But with that, Madam Chair, I would yield for any questions.
Questions? Well, I want to go back to our spring retreat with department heads, and there were some pretty alarming statistics on what we're at with a levy with just the bare bones piece. And I do really feel like the folks that were in that meeting understand the constraints that we're under. Part of the reason why we've been in St. Paul so much is because we're just facing historic cost shifts to all of us. And I think we've been more vocal about that because it is going to be a challenge. It's not an insurmountable challenge. We can figure out all of those pieces, but as you communicate that to the other departments, I think it's really important that they are aware of the difficulties that we will have, and just making sure that we get the numbers to where they need to be. Additional questions or comments, perspectives? One, let's talk about the timeline. Does the timeline look?
Yeah.
Okay, so we all appreciate the timeline. In regards to the communication to the departments, I believe Steve knows where we're at. Is there any other perspectives that you'd like to offer to that communication?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed 2027 budget timeline.
Second.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Bear to approve the timeline, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Further discussion,
One question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Bear.
We do have until the last Tuesday of December, correct, to set the final budget?
Yes, that's.
It'll be the
that's correct.
30th, right?
Yep.
Questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. I feel like we should have this titled Lori's Last.
Any lasts coming up, I've been documenting every one of them.
Really grateful for your leadership. Any additional comments? All right, we will move into committee reports. Thank you both for the in-depth information today. Commissioner Ebinger, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week, on the 7th, Thursday, I virtually attended the SECB Legislative Committee. We spent most of the time reviewing and giving feedback on the statewide communication interoperability plan, SCIP. It had been prepared by a private vendor as an analysis of where we needed to go with the improvements to the statewide system, the 911 improvements, a number of things. It's about 30 pages long, and we've been given a month to review it. And frankly, the reviews are in from this committee are that it accomplishes nothing. And the chair is going to take it further up the food chain and see what we're going to do. But I read it and I thought, what am I missing? And I got in there with the experts, and they were wondering what's in this that meets the objectives. So I guess I didn't miss anything. But that was what the majority of the meeting was spent, was that review. Later that day, I attended the Project Partnership Amendment commemorative ceremony that the Metro Flood Diversion had. It's very, very gratifying. One of the, I guess the high point of it was that we had Adam Tell, who's Assistant Secretary of the Army there, with Major General Kelly and Colonel Chase from the Corps of Engineers. And we were celebrating the funding in the Metro Diversion Project of $100 million that is left over from the operations that the Corps of Engineers came in early and came in under budget. And thanks to Senator Hoeven and Senator Klobuchar, that money They got legislation through to where it was transferred to the Diversion Authority and is now available for finishing projects and getting some work done. It was a very good ceremony and was good to be part of that. See, on the 11th, we all attended an emergency board meeting. And then later that day, I attended the RPAC Restorative Practices Group for our quarterly meeting. There was a lot of good discussion in it. The folks that are working in Moorhead schools with the restorative justice programs did a lot of the presentation for us. Very impressive group. They are functioning at a high level right now. They're dealing with a lot of kids. Just on the quarterly reports, there's a minimum of 87 kids that were dealt with, a maximum of 118. They are dealing with a lot of referrals that would otherwise go to juvenile court, and they're getting fewer and fewer of those as it moves along because they're getting kids in there before the juvenile system actually gets involved, and they're dealing with it from a received referral, which is not a one that comes out through the court system. So, very good meeting. The grant funding there is being well used. Michelle's running a good program. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. Commissioner Kravanoff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My first report is from May 6th, that Wednesday, at our PRTF non-secure facility planning meeting with our lobbyists. Really look forward to talked about the work we just done the prior week and what's ahead for this week. So coming ahead with that, as out of that meeting, more letters were sent to people we've been working with in both the House and the Senate, thanking them for their work and for their advocacy of what we hope will need to be done by the end of next week. The last day of session will be Monday, the, help me.
Sunday at
Following.
midnight.
Sunday at midnight? Okay, thank you. And so we have 1 week to go. Commissioner Mojo will be going down, I believe, on Thursday, and then be there with Friday again with our legislators on the floor. On the 7th, on Thursday, kind of going back to our meeting last week here, we had the presentation by our Children's Mental Health LAC. So as we had our monthly meeting here, that was on Thursday. We went through kind of what was talked about at our presentation, and then into our new business. Another mini grant was put out to access Red River Valley. Again, this would be a program for 8 to 10 kids during the summertime, where we talked about the myths, I'm going to use that word, by the lack of the Moorhead Police not having their summer programs, and yet at the same time, what can we do to help fill that gap? So that was a big discussion. Again, thanks to our county for giving them money every year that they've really saved up in this critical need, and making these small grants to help these kids through the summer. Also, I think everything else we talked about was pretty much already presented to us, so I think that's pretty much it about that meeting, other than agency reports. And again, you saw the list last week, and I think there were around 20 groups that we work with. So, given our individual reports. That evening, the Historical and Cultural Society of Clay County had their annual meeting. We had that at the Income Center. Guessing around 60 people were there. We had refreshments at the beginning, some pie actually, and then we went into our meeting. We had a director's report from Laura Ford, our new executive director of about 6 months, and she gave a good review of 2025. Then we had board elections. We had 3 board members re-elected for another term, and then 2 new ones came on, Dan Gunderson and Vicki Haugen. Dan from Moorhead and Vicki from the Holly area. So we'll enjoy having them jump on board. And then after that, we had our presentation of the 2025 Clay County Heritage Award, and it was given to our long-term past executive director, Maureen Kelly Jonason, and it was wonderful. Dr. Gaba, who was our board member, gave the presentation and did a really nice job in just our gratitude and all the work that Maureen did for this organization for many years. And then after that, we had a little trivia game with the group, and it was about national and state local questions. And with a lot of those people, they're pretty in tune to a lot of history. So it was fun to do. On Monday, yesterday, I had my adult mental health monthly planning meeting for a board meeting next week. Development of a annual report that I believe is going to be given here on May 19th, next week. And then in the evening, I had the Buffalo Red board meeting, and that was the last night. The big discussion there was just for an update from what we talked last week. CW had talked to the CW, I gotta say this right, I gotta find, anyway, the fertilizer plant down by Wolverton, had a discussion with the DA, and anyway, Ross was on the call last night into the meeting, and that group has decided that they were gonna build their own levee. And so they'll be working with the Houston engineering and just get it done. They've gone through permit approvals already, one with the Department of Ag and MPCA that's been approved, and they're just waiting on a DNR approval, which they should have shortly, and they'll get it going. Houston is working on the engineering on that one, on the specs. Then after that, and help me with this, Commissioner Mojo, the hearing for, now we got the hearing for Project 34 for the restoration of Whiskey Creek. There was a hearing on what day? Do you remember?
The hearing was on May 4th.
May 4th, okay. So here we are only a few days later at the next meeting, and then there was supposed to be a final presentation and then motions moving forward, whether to move on with the project or not. There was an hour and a half of discussion by landowners, concerns about the project. At the end of all that, it was decided and a motion passed that in order to, at this point, discontinue the project. And I suppose they'll probably come back to it at some point, but at this point they were seeing it was emphasized and shown too much damage is being done at the end of the Stony Creek project, and let's get it figured out what's happening on the water coming down the ridge and the effects on these projects that are just spreading into further into the county. So at the very least, I'll call it a pause.
Can I ask a question? I think there's some so they were the recipients of a $3.7 million Lessard Sams. And my understanding was that they could still make changes to the project, but they needed to act so they wouldn't lose that 3.7. They could, do you know what the timeline?
I don't know, and that wasn't any part of the discussion last night.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, other than that, just a few things on ditch repairs and new contract liners needing to be replaced in ditch 50 in Clay County. And that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Krabnoff. Before Commissioner Campbell goes, I think it's important. I am not on the Diversion Authority, but I have served in a variety of different capacities with Commissioner Campbell on the diversion lands components. And on May 7th, Commissioner Campbell was bestowed quite an honor from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Army Civilian Service Commendation Award Medal for all of the work and contributions that Kevin has committed to the diversion project. His time fighting floods goes far beyond his work on the county board, certainly when he was a township official trying to save his neighborhoods in North Moorhead and Oakport. And I just really want from this entire board to also extend our gratitude, Kevin. That is quite an honor, and we're really proud of you.
Thank you.
Yep. I knew you weren't going to report on it, so I had to.
I wasn't there.
That award will be presented at the next
Right.
Diversion Authority meeting.
All right, on Tuesday, May 5th, we had a quickly held PIC meeting, personnel issues. Lori Johnson had a couple things that from a timing standpoint, she really felt important for us to hear. And of course, those two of the items that were there were on our consent agenda for today after being approved through PIC. We also had some discussions about timelines with upcoming retirements. I'm not going to mention any names. This one doesn't have anything to do with me. Yeah, so there's some critical timelines coming up regarding retirements. That same day, we also had a Highway Tracking Committee meeting. On that, was reported on that date that CASA 12 and 52, the first phase detour, will begin the Tuesday after Memorial Day. And then maybe Commissioner Mojo can give some updates since then too on some of these things. But CASA 2 was closed, and they are reclaiming that roadway. And then also CASA 26, that work from Highway 75 to the Red River, that now is scheduled for late July and August. And so we can be somewhat hopeful that maybe most of those trucks that are dealing with that project over in North Dakota will be a little closer to finished so that we don't beat up that road once we finish it. And then there was a gravel pre-construction meeting that afternoon, and we had some discussion about future graveling contracts. And then also CASA 21, working with MnDOT. There were no bond funds available on that, and so they're working on the shoulder closure. And I think we're gonna, Justin will be coming forward with a plan for a bridge plan and hiring a consultant to design that coming up. So, and then just a note of note, Justin is working on pickup purchases and auctioning off 3 pickups, the need of another plow truck and a toner replacement, contractor body, and a sign truck. So those are things that he's going to be bringing forward, and additional equipment purchases will be updated soon, and he's hoping to bring the updated 5-year plan to the board in the near future. Then on the, excuse me, I gotta get on May 7th, we did have a Zoom Teams meeting with the chamber regarding our flood mitigation work group, dealing with the legislation issues. As we've been talking about here today, we're getting down to the wire, and I know that there's some plans for some members. I think maybe Jason or somebody is going to be down there later this week.
I'm picking them up Wednesday night, and I'll hand deliver them
Okay.
Thursday.
So Jason Benson and Commissioner Mojo, and I believe we're going to be delivering some little sandbags to
Sandbags.
a lot of
Sandbag stress relievers.
yeah, to a lot of our legislatures down there. So as they're getting frustrated with
All
the,
of
they'll
them.
have these things that they can squeeze and.
Where's ours? We should have had that before the budgets.
As long as they fund the projects. Pass a bonding bill.
So that was that, and then there's really, the only other plans for that group will be to meet post closure of the legislative session to see how things have worked out, and hopefully we'll get some good news. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On May 6th, we had a county-owned lands committee where we discussed the Riverton Township property that the county owns. One of the things out there that law enforcement wants to, the SWAT uses it right now, but they wanted to build up a berm which they lay on for their sharpshooters to use for more practice, so it's safer out there. And then we also discussed on that same property, the North Dakota National Guard wants to do some training out there through June 6th through the 10th, to conduct their training. Both those moved through the County-Owned Lands Committee and should be coming to the board for our approval. We also had a third item on the list with a company that would wanted to use some of our property off County Road 26 for a scale, which we did not move forward. And then yesterday, I went to Dilworth for the groundbreaking ceremony for their new community center that's being built out there, and there's quite a few people there, so, yeah, that is all my reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear. Commissioner Campbell.
Yeah, I have one last thing here. I just want to point out something here. I received a letter here, and it's not very long, if you don't mind, I would like to read it here. My name is Flora Nelson. I am 16 and a sophomore at Moorhead High School, as well as a resident of Oakport Township. I am writing to you today regarding the condition of County Road 9, which is currently in poor condition. This issue is affecting me and others who drive down this road to get their homes or use it to travel. When driving down County Road 9 at the speed limit, the vehicle is thrown about by the holes and cracks present on the road. A repair for this road would greatly benefit not just the driver, but also driver and vehicle safety. I would greatly appreciate consideration of this issue as it impacts the county and driver safety. A possible solution would be road construction to repair its current condition. Addressing this issue would be greatly benefit all who drive down this road, providing a safe journey to their destination. Thank you for your consideration. I just want to congratulate this young lady for writing this to us, and I can tell her help is on the way.
Thank you for reading that. I do really appreciate, especially when we see younger folks
Yes.
taking an interest in the civics around them. So
That's
I
correct.
appreciate. Congratulations, Flora. We'll work on it. May 4th, I neglected to report last week on one of my committees and talked to Sarah about it, but also I was at the ditch here, or not the ditch, the Whiskey Creek project hearing at the Buffalo Red Watershed meeting on May 4th. There were an enormous amount of folks that had questions about pieces of that project. There really was concerns with the Stony Creek project and some blowouts that they're working on, and then I think a hope that there would be some sort of retention incorporated into both of those projects. So Commissioner Kramnot reported on where it stands as of last night. May 5th, I also attended the Highway Tracking Committee meeting that Commissioner Campbell updated very well on. I also observed, I know we are moving forward with our roundabout on Highway 52. Unfortunately, there was a pretty nasty car accident there yesterday. So as we look at public safety and road improvements for public safety, that continues to be one where I'm hopeful we can get that done and save some future accidents. May 6th, I attended the Clay County Lands Committee meeting that Commissioner Bear reported on, really good updates on that. Also of note is we've had 2 separate National Guard training units that have reached out to us because they feel like that is such a great space for training opportunity. Boy, if you look at the amount of different organizations that are reaching out to Clay County to use some space as training, I'm really proud of that. That's a great opportunity. And after that, I had the Clay County Legislative Planning Committee meeting where we continued to triage, reaching out to key members of the legislature for all of our projects that we're working on, but also members of the Capital Investment Committee meeting. I just got a message from Haley, who is our lobbyist, and it's I don't want to say desperate, but the call to action for all of us to reach out to our legislators today about the need for a bonding bill. It's not looking great, but so we do need to, Steve, all of the folks that we had send letters out last week to all of those addresses. We need to do that today to encourage bonding bill passage. And then all of you have Senator Johnson, Kupek, Representative Keeler, Representative Joy Gander as well. We need to all individually reach out to them to encourage passage of a bonding bill. That's imperative today. And also had discussion in regards to the other projects, how we'll triage, reaching out to them later on this week. That evening, I attended a retirement celebration for Larry Knutson, who's been the voice of the Spuds for a seriously long time. It's pretty crazy that I recall him announcing Spuds games when I was an athlete, but now I have kiddos that are doing that too, and I know there's often 3 generations that talk about. Larry is not the only individual in our community that leads and offers their skills to all of our different school districts, but really appreciative of the work and the time that he's given specifically to Moorhead Area Public Schools. May 7th, I attended the Public Policy Committee meeting for the chamber. We met at Eventide's downtown corporate offices. Really great updates on the national economic outlook from leaders with the national chamber. Interesting to, they really talked about the difference in policies in Minnesota and North Dakota and how we can work to change that, but also what we're seeing in trends nationally. One statistic that Shirley Hughes from Fargo, or Hospitality, Commerce. Anyways, we talked about what tourism means to Cass and Clay County and what those numbers are. And in 2025, tourism brought in $1 billion to Cass County and $80 million to Clay County. And while that is a huge and wonderful number, we certainly have some things we can do to help make tourism in Clay County a more vibrant business. But that was a staggering difference, I believe. I attended the flood work group mitigation meeting that Commissioner Campbell discussed and how we will triage that messaging in St. Paul this week, particularly with the reminder of what that dollar amount means to wrap things up. I observed the project partnership agreement, having the $100 million secured is really an important step for the ability to finish up the projects on the Clay County side that are really imperative, not only to the agreement, but the folks that will be affected on our side. I attended an Alliance Township meeting in Baker on the project concerns, follow-up from the hearing at the Buffalo Red Watershed meeting. May 8th, I had the coffee with the commissioner in Dilworth, and then a discussion with the county attorney and administrator on legal issues that we're working on. And then yesterday, I also attended the Dilworth groundbreaking, and exciting opportunity for Dilworth. I've said many times, besides this building, the only other building in my time on the county board that I've had the most meetings in is the Dilworth Community Center. That really is a regional hub for strategy and meetings, and excited for that community as well. That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of the items were covered, but participated on the 5th. I sent several letters out to legislators in regards to the PRTF and bonding. Also on the 5th, I participated in the PIC meeting that's been addressed. Highway tracking that's been addressed. Also the county-owned lands, and legislative planning, and also the May public policy meeting for the chamber. Participated in the flood mitigation work group on the 7th, and then in the afternoon, along with several of our members from our risk management committee, sat with Joe Szymanski from MCIT to go through our annual update. On the 7th, also had a department head evaluation. On the 8th, participated in the NACo legislative update, and then also our non-secure detention meeting. On the 8th, I also met with Crystal Cadry from the drug court program, and received an update. They're going to be coming next week with a proclamation for the courts, specialty courts. And then just a note, we have a EDA meeting later today at 1. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Steve. Katie, do you have anything? Okay. Anything else? Darren?
Most of my stuff has already been covered. I attended the PIC meeting on the 5th, Lands Committee meeting on the 6th, Legislative Planning Committee, all have been covered already. I did have a meeting with Chief Deputy on some personnel issues, of which Anna also participated, and then after that I had a meeting with Anna, kind of catching her up for her return on the 18th, on next Monday, on the May 7th. I responded to some data requests and worked on the data practices project. On the 8th, I attended the NACo legislative update as well, PRTF update meeting, and then yesterday I had a meeting with Steve and Lori. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Darren. Anything else? As noted, we do have the EDA EDC meeting this afternoon. We have covered all items on the agenda today. Our next board meeting will be May 19th at 8:30. We are adjourned.